So what I'd like to do is just to put into context, really provide a little bit of background into eating quality, say a few words about the MSA system, Meat Standards Australia. I'm sure some of you are quite familiar with that. And then I want to put it into an international context about what's happening in the whole area of eating quality. So again, you'll be very familiar with images such as this here. And I asked the question, which is better and why? Is there anybody can point to which steak here or which piece of meat is going to eat well? We'll define eating quality in a moment. Any brave people want to put their money on it? Right. If you've got a system for being able to say it's this one or this one, and frankly the answer is very simple, we do not. So why might we, is this working good? Okay, there we go. So why might we be interested in eating quality? And again, these are points for you to discuss over breakfast. One is not meeting consumer expectations. We continue to have a lot of issues to do with variability in eating quality, and I would contend that as variability remains a problem, and we are actually an expensive protein relative to the monogastrics, I think attention on eating quality becomes increasingly important when consumers have to pay higher amounts of money to be able to access and enjoy that particular food. No strong relationship between eating quality and its price. You can pay more, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it'll eat more. And our Australian friends, and this is not new, this goes back a long time, it's over 20 years of development. This goes right back to the mid-90s when Australia actually had a big change in their system of production and said we need to become a lot more focused on delivering what consumers require, not just consumers domestically, but of course Australia is a very big player on the export market. So they wanted something that they could predict the eating quality of beef. So they developed a system which became known as the Meat Standards Australia grading system, and the approach behind this was what they called a passive approach. Many of you will be familiar with passive, but this was to do with a passive approach, where they set out to identify all of the key factors right across the chain from the conception of that animal inside the mother all the way through to the consumer, which can impact on eating quality. And effectively they built up relationships through very, very large scale consumer testing. Ordinary people out in venues all around the country tasting meat and scoring that meat. They were then able to form associations between what they define eating quality to be, which is effectively tenderness, juiciness, flavour, and what they call over-liking. And they came up with a grading system which can score meat into 4 different categories, ranging from unsatisfactory on the left through to premium on the right. And effectively consumers can decide what quality they require, what price range they require. There must be a technique to this pip that I just don't know. So, as you know, in Europe, the system we have for payment to our farmers is based on weight and carcass confirmation and fat score. So it's well known as the Europe grid. But we also know that there is effectively the key point here that consumers do not, of course, eat carcasses. So at that end of things, it does not bear any relevance to them at all. And we now know through some excellent work, which has actually just been published in the last couple of years by colleagues in Australia working with colleagues in Europe, that there is no relationship between conformation and eating quality as predicted using the MSA system. There's no differences. And indeed, if you move on and look at fatness across 16 muscle types, again, no relationship to eating quality. So the Europe grid system and eating quality do not have any real connection. And I know some of you will sit there and say that's to be expected because the Europe grid was developed to do something completely different. That's correct. But in terms of eating quality, today's standard really is around the MSA type system. Within all of that work in Australia, and again a lot of work across Europe and elsewhere, there has been a close look at this concept here, which is, are people willing to pay more money if they could have a better eating quality experience and have a guarantee behind that. So along the bottom here you have unsatisfactory through to 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, where 4-star is the premium product. And effectively you have a range of countries on the right hand side there, and as you move through, then effectively people are willing to pay more, but that is also dependent on which country that you're based in. And as you know, those people who live in Northern Ireland, of course the Cardis go across to Ireland for training, so they're very, very cautious about what they do with their money. So that's quite a significant issue. But in general, people are willing to pay money, but it's dependent on the country. So just a brief message that in relation to eating quality, there's actually a lot going on at an international level at the moment, and the foundation to it is very much to do with the Meat Standards Australia system, working across a whole range of countries now and bringing together data to develop what's referred to as an international model of eating quality. So I think in terms of this project now brings Wales to the table and gives us an opportunity really to consider the significance of the MSA-like system within Welsh production systems and helping to underpin the Welsh PGI status. And of course, importantly, this project will also act as a connector through into an international dimension on eating quality, which is a very active space at present.